the permit. I don't care if you buy a permit. Do you know how little I actually care if you have a permit?
Complaining about the fact that he received no support from that. I think Bode has some.
Yes, I
some
do.
leaks for us.
Oh, I got some leaks for you.
It's like
Can't get
simple
right.
shit like that. No, simple shit like that. If
I
he
need,
can't
I
answer
need
that
to break
publicly,
in. I need to break in because I need more original every week. That's a goal.
Do you really actually get paid for that? Because you deserve money for that last one. That one was a fucking amazing setup.
Sysadmins really hate people.
I was going to say this one.
I really have to stop you guys from being able to see where the hell the intro is. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Push to Talk, and we are here making a lot of fun here with the Iowa Caucus edition. For those who don't know, the Iowa Caucus is the first caucus in for the Democrats in the United States, but we really just wanted to say caucus on the show. We wanted to say caucus. That's the only reason we did it. And Soth Rasil will be giving you all odds on. What are you giving us odds on later, Soth?
Whether we will see the Irish reunification first or Scotland leaving the UK.
There you go. There you go.
Most
yes,
of us on Irish reunification.
And by the way, before we went live, hold on, I'm scrolling up.
Way to be decisive, dude.
Seabass Unique, currently resubscribed for 9 months. Thank you. And who did the follows? The rest a while or whatever. I don't know how to say that. I don't know. I'm terrible. For following. Thank you. So it looks like we got... we can say caucus again. Yes, caucus. Yay. The Iowa caucus.
Someone seems to want goons to actually become a real nation and take over their country. And
We've talked about this with Dirk McGurk before, right? For Dirkistan.
Well, I was thinking if you take Nevada, that would kind of work, wouldn't
it? Can we just do Calexit? For the sake
the point is that Las Vegas would be the capital of the Goon Nation, right?
Oh God!
No. There is a strip of land between Egypt and Sudan that none of the two nations want.
Yes.
Like literally, they are arguing about who doesn't own the land, because the one who claims it doesn't claim the other part, which has like a lot of natural resources in it.
So everybody knows we have Horrendous Bard Ghost, Caleb, Dirk, McLeod, Soth Rasil, and myself here today. So we got lots of people.
And we might have a Mist Warden at some point.
We might have what?
We might have a Mist Warden at some point.
Oh yeah, eventually. Mist is down there. Apparently somebody committed one of the greatest sins under the sun where Mist lives. Mist is currently out on a fire drill because somebody. Now, if you're standing, I want you all to sit down. Somebody burned bacon where he is and kicked off the fire alarm. It's.
That is alarming.
Fucking heathens.
Bacon. You know what I saw? You know
That's
what
a bacon crime against humanity.
By the way, this was released in the end of December. Did you guys see the bad lip reading for The Last Jedi with Yoda singing the song? Have you guys seen that one?
Oh, yeah.
Damn seagulls.
No, not the seagulls one. This is a new one. This is a stick one.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. We watched it this morning here at the Casa de Asmonk with the kids. It was a big deal. It was funny. So it is out there. Bad lip reading. Last Jedi. It is perhaps better than the movie was itself. I'm just gonna.
Well,
that's not exactly that difficult.
I know.
If it was better than
Terrible.
Seagulls, then I'd be amazed. But
No, it's not
I'm
better
sure
than
this
Seagulls.
show is better than episode 9.
You know, I have found something better than seagulls.
Yeah, you have what?
The compiled Star Wars bad lip reading. Like they did a single
Ooh.
video that is the whole thing.
Nice. I'm gonna have to go look for that. Yes, Angelis or X or whatever. I'm not sure. I'm bad at pronouncing things, so I'm very sorry, people. My stick is better than
Angie.
bacon. Yes, he says that many times in the video. And he references the seagulls, and he references that his stick comes from a log, and it's kind of funny. So enjoy. So do we decide? Are we? By the way, pre-show we didn't record any of it. Well, we recorded some of it, but some of it we didn't because hey, we might
Absolutely everything I say here today was recorded before the show.
It is. We're just kind of piecing them in and talking around them, like they do in those interviews, folks. That's what we're doing with the Horrendous.
It's true.
Yeah. So, are we gonna rage against the machine? Are we gonna caucus, or what are we gonna do today, gentlemen?
I think
I'm going to
Horrendous
say
has the
something.
topic.
I think
Caleb had like a
the
bunch
same-
of things to
I
talk
think-
about.
I think the same. I think we'll do the same thing that we do every night.
What?
Try to take over the
Try
world.
to take over the world.
We stole that. It's terrible.
I'm just going to bring Caleb's favourite point.
What?
Aerith.
Aerith. Yeah, we weren't talking about Aerith's tweets earlier today or anything. No. By the way, folks, if you haven't done that and you don't follow Aerith on Twitter, you might want to go out there and read it.
It's an interesting read.
The thing is,
concerning.
I mean, none of the login issues are on CCP, right?
Why not?
There
I don't
was
think
there were some heavy DDoS attacks,
Yeah.
right? And they tried to mitigate that. And because of that, well, probably because of that, we now have these issues. That
Here's-
is normal. You see
mean,
that with
Most
remember, there
companies
was an
don't
extended
deal
downtime.
with their DDoS attacks. They just have their upstream providers deal with them.
Like, you've got to remember, we had an extended downtime yesterday for them to update some internal services. So, like, the last couple of days, like, up until, the DDoS has started coming in, Tuesday, Wednesday?
We're on day 6, so
Yeah.
however many days ago that was.
So,
Sunday.
like, it's not just the DDoS anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. The thing is, though,
No, Dirk
they
said
are absolutely terrible with their communication.
No,
They communicate?
I've heard that.
Yeah, lack of communication is
which Twitter
terrible
account of the
communication.
5 are you following to get your communications?
And note, you have to follow a
Only
Twitter account.
5?
You can't not watch. You can't read a dev blog, which is where it should be.
No, really? One place, single point of information? Or,
Sorry, am I making too much sense here?
I would just.
you know what? I have
say
to.
As a
Guys, I got to kick
aside
Bard
here,
from the channel. He's making too much sense. He's got to go.
I would just like to say, as a total aside here, damn, why couldn't we have Convict on today?
Well, that's a scheduling problem. My fault. I apologize. Sorry.
I'm surprised Convict.
By the way,
didn't
he's
actually
welcome.
release
Convict
a
can
Reddit
actually
thread
pop
about
in
it.
here anytime he wants. He's allowed. He's got
I
like.
bet he's lurking.
The question isn't is he allowed. The question is he foolish enough?
No, he's not. No, no. And I wouldn't wish that on him ever. I don't know. No, he's a nice guy.
If you guys saw
I mean,
the recent.
to be fair, if he would come in right now and actually like tell us what the fuck is going on, like would we attack him for it?
No.
No,
Because
that's not what we do.
What know is what the fuck is going on, right?
I think at the moment
That's
he's
all
lost.
people know at this point.
But
I think at the moment he's lost in space, considering the latest video from CCP. So.
But we'll troll him while he's not here.
Exactly.
All in good fun, though, guys.
I'm going to say something without hitting at CCP here. Don't take this as a hit at them. Regardless of who's to blame, whatever. During this, I've seen a lot of people playing other games as a corp. Together, Armor doing squad stuff.
So,
whatever game it is so being. And I'm getting slightly concerned that a few of them have said they're getting the itch to win Eve.
So I don't know what you
basically how
guys
this
can
works,
see.
yeah.
I know McLeod for sure, and Caleb can. Can you guys see the channels above us that say Atlas and have main
the ones that have got,
comms
like,
and all
half
that?
a dozen people currently playing Atlas instead. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like half my corp, and from Eve, they're playing Atlas. They're not playing Eve. I mean, they'll go and get their
Fits well
paps
with
and
the
do their
recent
stuff, but
bundles,
that's about
doesn't
it.
No,
Eric, did you see that the
bundle was
Steam
with
has a bundle
warships.
for goons?
Yeah.
Missed, where'd you go again? I mean, did you get some of the bacon? Did you save the bacon? What did you do?
He brought
Literally,
home the bacon.
I went to the fire panel to see what room might be burning down. Went upstairs to the person's room, and the guy was like, "Yeah, sorry, mate, cooking bacon." I'm like, "All right, okay."
Hold it. You went to the fire panel?
Because you have to look at the fire panel. You then you go check if the room is actually on fire. Then you go make the call to say if it's a false alarm or actually could you send some boys down, please, in the fire truck.
But they don't come until you call them?
Yeah, it's only an internal alarm. It's not an external alarm.
So, and you're in charge of this?
No one's in charge. It's just literally the first person to actually
That sounds
to do the action.
So if everybody's like, somebody else will do it,
Sounds
like you all
efficient.
die?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that's clear to our viewers.
I mean, it seems dangerous, but it also seems very efficient.
I want you to know, Mist, when you left, I sat here during the intro when nobody could see us or anything, and I just bowed my head and I said a prayer for the poor bacon that died.
Oh, I was going to say you wept for Mist.
No, shit, no.
Is Mist in
The
charge
bacon,
of
it was the bacon.
lives? I hope not.
Hey, Mudstart, thank you for following. Crispy bacon, no, I think it's like burnt bacon that's like hideous.
So we can all be fairly certain about this that Mist did not save the bacon.
No, but he
I'm
did
pretty
save.
sure the firefighters came up, looked in the room, and gone, "Well, at least we got a bacon sandwich out of all of this issues."
I don't think you did. I think it's dead.
Enough.
Poor bacon. Again, Caleb, we have missed the boat. We did not wear our masks for the coronavirus. However, we do have
We're gonna go down that rabbit hole.
we do have a public service announcement for all our viewers. We understand that if you drink your Corona with a lime, the lime insulates you from any infection. So
That
please
is
stock up
not
on limes.
true. That is
true.
so not true. Don't
true.
even spread that crap. You just wind up with lime.
But seriously, Eric, this is exactly the same topic we covered last week,
I know,
right?
I know.
The whole revamping thing. I would much more prefer to watch the old duck and cover videos than this bloody bullshit scare
I'm telling you, man, just get some limes. You're good. I mean, it's like, you're on the ocean. I mean, you're protected from scurvy too, so it's a double whammy on that one. I mean, it's double protection.
I approve of that, actually.
You do. I know you do. Yeah. See, scurvy.
Are we going to talk about
Deadly.
how to make grog next?
No, because all you need is a water barrel in Atlas and some water. You don't even need anything else. It's terrible. Wasabi is the sushi,
about
baby.
Atlas, Eric.
What?
Don't worry. I said you were saying about Atlas again.
No. I mean, I actually enjoy it. It's a fun game. It's got its own spurs, crap, terrible.
Don't
things.
get on him for being inconsistent with his topics. He's clearly feeling groggy.
Did someone say grog?
Yeah, somebody did. Yeah. All right. Teodor's playing Total Warhammer, by the way, as the British. Dwarves. Okay, whatever that means. I don't know. So what else?
How would you play Warhammer as the British?
So.
Well, he's playing as the dwarves.
Obviously.
So Eve is unplayable right now, right? Is local fucked again? Is that what's going on?
It's on and off. Some accounts I've got it on, some accounts I don't.
Local's based on the Amazon Cloud chat servers, aren't they? So
No, it's
if
not.
That's been hit. Is that not?
Yeah, well,
It has tie-ins with like CCP servers. So if those like connected aspects of those servers are fucked, then the chat system's fucked as well. It doesn't matter if AWS is still fine.
What games have we been playing that's night? I've been doing quite well in the Old Republic.
I've been playing Infinifactory recently.
I'm playing Lord of the Rings Online.
I'm playing Dark Souls 3.
I never got into that, Horrendous. Do you like that? I mean, it's good.
God, yes.
He's been
amazing.
I've been trying to play New World, but the devs really don't want me to be. So it's kind of not really been working.
We can't get into the alpha, can we?
No.
Yeah,
last couple of weeks, I just haven't had much time to game at all. I mean, it's just I'm doing other things.
Playing New World again. I actually enjoyed that.
If you're not aware, there have been some major changes to it.
I'm probably not going to be enjoying it then.
I did notice one Eve related thing.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
I gotta go over to make sure I do it. I did one of those weird things. I went over
No, don't go over it. Literally, just tell us the hearsay that you've heard.
It's not hearsay.
It's always so much better.
No. I went over to evewho.com, right?
Oh,
and I'm like,
this is never a good start.
I'm like, when did
It really isn't.
Pandemic Horde get so many people?
They've been doing that for a while.
Yeah, they've been going. Oh, you can join us now. You can join us now.
And then
didn't give a shit anymore.
They've got some fresh content that's totally not a war going down, and they want all the boys for the Entosis action, which provides them content, not a war.
Yeah, because all of their entitled people who have been there for quite a while, they don't actually want to do the Entosis thing. They just want to palm the Entosis thing and all the boring shit off onto the new people. So.
I'm having deja vu here.
Wants to do the Entosis shit.
I'm having deja vu here. Isn't that what NC and PL got Horde to do in the last big war as well?
Yep. Well, like father, like son, right?
Was that supposed to be a segue into the whole privilege theme?
Privilege.
Shut up.
Oh
Shut
my
up,
god! I read that and I was like, "Holy!" I was just like, seriously?
Well, you can afford to feel that way, Eric. You're privileged.
I just wanted to walk behind someone and just roll a grenade up, and just from back, roll the grenade to the guy at the lead, just take him out. I'm sitting there going, who? Seriously, it's like the stupidest notion ever. Nullsec privilege. Oh my god.
What
thoughts to the crew? Thoughts?
Without having any actual details on what he meant by that, I will not.
Who are we talking about?
Comment that Olmeca made about all of us having nullsec privilege because of blocks and shit.
I'm sorry. I mean,
Okay,
Wait.
Aerith's posting recently,
I'm
right?
just
There's a whole thing that
I'm just
the
gonna say
game is dying.
I'm just gonna say that the whole kind of like pets thing and like fucking Band of Brothers stuff and all that kind of shit, like that was like full on nullsec privilege, like, but that was a different kind of like you can't really use the catch-all as nullsec for privilege in that regard. It's literally just power player privilege, I guess.
I mean, it's the people who are most dedicated to doing stuff as a group, right? But
it also requires a
practice
mindset.
every game.
Yeah, but it also requires a mindset though, like which some people who are power players in nullsec don't have. Like, I don't feel that kind of like power player sort of privilege, like inside of the initiative, for example. But like, it's definitely appeared in other nullsec power players, like Band of Brothers, for example.
Yeah, I never really felt it in Goons. I mean, when we came to Goons, being a non-Goon corp, right, coming into it, it just really opened up different facets of the gameplay to me, different options that I didn't have before. But it didn't take away any options I had.
Exactly. Whenever you have a group that basically has a situation where you go, no, you are a lower class, or you are not our class of player, then you have a privileged situation going on. That's essentially what happens, right? And I can completely understand why, why sort of Pandemic Horde now kind of are sort of doing the same thing as they as how they were treated, because that's how they kind of see it working, I guess.
Yeah,
even though there is a better way.
Yeah, and like Arenas, it's really hard to derive what he meant by what is nullsec privilege, right? What is that?
Yeah.
Because you have things and the ability to do certain things in the game that you can't do in other places in the game because you can hold that land. Well, in my mind, that only becomes a nullsec privilege if we don't let anybody else join. Right? I mean, if you want to come to Delve, come to Delve, right? I mean, if you want to come... I mean, if Olmeca Gold wanted to do things that nullsecers do, right? All he has to do is join one of the Goon Corps or bring his corp to Goons.
The issue is we wouldn't let him in.
Well, we wouldn't, but he could go somewhere else and do it.
I'm sure Horde would be happy to have him.
Yeah, I mean...
He can multi-box all of that in toasters for them.
Yeah, there you go. But no, I mean, but you can go there, right? I mean, just because he has a particular background, right? But anybody in HighSec who hasn't ever come to NullSec before or wants to experience it can just come right over.
I think he has a particular set of skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when you have when you have situations of like I remember back, like way back in the day when you would try and join an offset kind of group, and they would say, you have to have XYZ amount of skill points. You have to have, been in the game doing this. You need to have a fairly decent green kill board or semi-green kill board, at least, show a XY number, a certain amount of activity, but not just, you losing a whole bunch of stuff. Like, that kind of thing to me, like that kind of, that sets a bit of a privilege thing, to some degree. But like when you have,
really, do you subscribe that there's actual privilege?
Well, to some degree.
I
don't consider it. It's elitism, yeah. But like that, with that elitism comes a expectation of those elitists that certain aspects of the game that they don't partake in because it's beneath them.
Yeah,
is it?
I mean, you have that everywhere.
That's
Vast Gamer
bit, but that's not inherent to just nullsecers. That's inherent to like some kind of fucking belief that people other than nullsecers have as well. So it's not a nullsec thing.
So if Vast Gamer is right, and Olmeca's reply was, you only hear about it just now because you don't follow our Eve, I have posted there on the record saying that possessing all the organizational advantage of nullsec organizations and then blaming non-nullsec people for not voting in CSM elections is null privilege.
I mean, we don't have an organizational advantage.
We definitely
can do it anyway.
No, we definitely do have an organizational advantage in the CSM elections, but
because we built that organization,
the work to have that. Like,
yeah,
we don't blame them for not having that advantage. We simply say, listen, if you want to actually win in any sort of small d democratic scenario, you got to organize. That's how it works.
That's how it works in real life. I mean, that's everything, right?
Right.
I mean, if you want to be on the
That's not
freaking school
blaming
board
people.
or
Jesus
your
Christ.
local supervisory board or whatever, you gotta organize.
It's almost like someone in Battlefield complaining about the fact that the other team are working together when they should all just be playing solo.
Yeah,
Fucking
that's
ridiculous.
what should happen.
Like,
yeah.
you know, this isn't a solo game. This is a game where you play with multiple people. So
or you can,
when you
or
have
you can
multiple
hire
people,
Cambridge Analytica, right?
That's not true. There are aspects of Eve which can be a solo game. There are aspects of Eve that can be a small group organization. Eve is anything that you want it to be.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is like, yeah, there may be aspects of Eve that you know are better played and you have better experiences playing as a smaller group or as a solo player, but not every aspect of Eve should be like that. And so going to the areas of large group multiplayer kind of gameplay and going, well, this this is bad because I can't compete as a solo player. It's like, well, there are aspects of the game as a solo player that you'd be a lot better at, like in comparison to a large group. Like, go there. Like, you can't enforce like your gameplay on everyone else.
Right.
In the same way that you can't complain about like other people's gameplay being enforced on you. Like, it's you can't have it one way and then complain about it the other way.
Let's put it this way: if you can't handle the things that you do in Eve, you really probably can't handle life real well.
What do you mean, McLeod? I can't have my cake and eat it too?
Isn't that the point of having cake?
You can absolutely have your cake and eat it too, and that saying really annoys me.
I know,
because the original version of the saying is you can't eat your cake and have it too.
That's right.
And that completely makes more sense.
See, I was actually like trying to stay away from that particular phrase, but okay. Probably for
Why?
those
You didn't
particular
want to talk
reasons.
about soft cake again?
Well, no, it's not that. Like, I definitely want to talk about soft sauce cake. It's fucking awesome.
That was a great picture.
No, this isn't innuendo for something, is it?
No.
No, the cake stands for cake. And it's totally not a lie.
I don't think you're telling the truth.
He is, unfortunately. Well, I mean, we'd have a lot more fun if he was like, but he's talking about a cake. It's
and if anybody in the audience, knows the full name for Soft Seals cake, then you get bonus points as well. But
what are you going to give him, McLeod?
We should
since
really
you brought
change
it
the
up?
topic before the Brits start talking about biscuits and pies.
Oh my god.
Scones.
Well, we're
Scones.
slightly still around the subject of the CSM. I don't think there's going to be a CSM next year. I think they're just going to say, you know what? You guys have been bitching and moaning too much. I don't want to listen to you bitching and moaning. I don't want people telling me I'm not allowed to have pearl abysses and the Korean dollar bills. And I think the major support for the CSM is pretty much gone. I don't think we're going to see one this year.
Well, let's ask the audience.
I'm in agreement with Mist.
Hey, let's ask the
I
audience.
think if we were not living in post-Brexit, post-blackout world, I would definitely say that you are wrong, Mist. But today, I might actually agree with you. It is very likely that the CSM is going to get closed down.
So
and
let's.
that might also explain Aerith's rage.
Yeah, let's ask the audience. X up if you think this is the last CSM that we'll see. Let's see what you guys say.
Oof. You know, we get like no participation whenever we do this.
Yeah, this is always kind of funny because like we always stall here.
100% of responses.
Look at that. We got a G.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So my reasoning is,
F.
if we look past.
Somebody tried to spell Fozzie, but they didn't coordinate it well enough there.
No, they just removed the up.
Yeah.
If we look at like the last CSM season, we've had people having to step down. We've had people declaring war over a meeting. We've had people being banned and reinstated because people made mistakes of what's something that they may have said or something that they didn't say.
I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the whole we're going to go on to war based on what was said in a meeting. I'm going to go ahead and say that was utter fucking bullshit. That was just bullshit.
And say that probably actually, was something CCP was hoping for.
Yeah, probably. They need a war. Hey, this brings me to a question that I thought about earlier that I wanted to ask all of you here.
Go for it.
When we look at EVE, other than some big thing that a nullsec entity has done in like HiSec, do you guys easily recall any cool HiSec only exclusively thing that made the papers and made EVE a big deal?
No.
It made the papers? No.
I mean not the paper, online.
Trig Invasion, but that's only because
that doesn't count. That's a CCP generated thing. Something that the players
The big
that made a big
financial
deal.
scams have actually hit the news, and they are pretty much mostly HiSec oriented.
Yeah, that's true.
But you got to recall one, so recall it.
And
Burnjita doesn't count because it's created by a nullsec organization. So
E-Bank, Titans for You, all those things have always hit the news.
Eve what?
They
Eve what?
are all hype.
Eve Bank. I don't even know what that is.
That was a scam. It was a big scam.
Okay.
But it was way back.
So you got one.
And I don't really think removing the CCP generated stuff completely is fair, because you've got stuff like the Drifters where it's just what CCP is doing, but when you've got significant player uptake, and what's actually getting recognized and reported on is the player uptake and the long-term effects of that, I think that's valid. And so for that, Project Discovery is definitely up there.
Okay, so you got a couple. I think the biggest things that happen in EVE and the biggest advertising for free CCP gets comes from nullsec. Battles of War.
That's and Wormholes. I will add them in there.
Okay, yeah.
Because I've seen quite a bit about what Laserhawks used to do and so on and so forth.
Yeah, but again, that's.
But technically,
I don't think anybody's really saying that CCP gets a whole lot of free press from random HiSec group number 5 showing up on Fox News.
There you go.
And then let's just
someone claiming
remember
a
that
$1 million
in the
fight.
past there was not this distinction between HiSec and null, right? Things were more integrated and codependent, right? It was pretty much from 5-8 years ago that you started the whole self-sufficiency thing that separated nullsec from the rest of the game. So
and
anything
a good half of the people who showed up at Asakai, for example, were lowsec and HiSec.
I would say so.
Well, yeah, because they're like, holy shit, we can get in on
over.
Yeah, because they can't get that fight anywhere else.
Right.
I would say that the Casino War had some of them that got involved as well, but again, it was but it happened in nullsec, so.
Yeah, because everything in EVE, this is what I was trying to explain to Ashtarothi, right? Everything is EVE is dependent on what goes on in nullsec. That's the whole point of the game and how that integrates into everything else. It's just the integration has been undermined, destroyed by CCP design.
Quit propagating privilege. You're just terrible, Caleb.
And I mean, I don't think we should take Caleb's statement as that's right. You all need us, and looking down on it. That's not it. It's just
I was being facetious, by the way.
Yeah, but let's face it. The people who get pissed off aren't going to hear you as facetious.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just that when the game is working properly, most of the destruction is in null because there are the fewest limits on destruction in null. The problem we've got right now is the game isn't working properly.
And let's just remember.
Hold on. Did you really say that?
By definition, I cannot be nullsec privileged, right? Because I do not play in nullsec. I'm a market and finance guy, right? This is what I've done since pretty much day one.
So you're market elitist.
So I'm a market elitist, but I cannot exist if there is no destruction and no volatility and no actual market, right? So whether you're talking about me or the casino guys or the big blue endeavors, any of these things, hell, even the origins of goons, right? These things start out somewhere with people that might not necessarily be null privileged, and then eventually they become dependent. But that dependency is gone.
Need to blow things up. But even that won't help you.
The response to that, Eric, though, is what Steele says. The game is stale. The game is stale. There's no incentive to blow shit up.
Absolutely.
It's like
when you have no incentive, you have no movement. When you have no movement, then you get people complacent and looking for something else, and then you have people moving away from the game.
No incentive. It's that there's insufficient incentive to deal with the bullshit.
Yes.
By the way, we did cut him off so you guys couldn't hear what he said, that word, because we're not allowed to say that word.
Right.
No.
Every time people say there's no incentive or there's no reason to fight, it just creates this image of, oh, well, they just need to provide more conflict drivers. They need to and that's not it. That's not the obstacle. The obstacle is there's a speed bump in the way, and the speed bump is 12 feet tall.
CCP's mechanics that are actively making the content we could be having right now unfun and make us not want to have that content.
And this is going into the whole blame game, right? And something that really bothers me these days, because I can see the goon thing is coming back, and why are the goons not out there creating content? And CCP seem to also be on this. It's the player's fault. It's the player behavior that's the reason for the game going stale and dying. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? It's exactly the opposite. It's CCP design every single time that makes the game dumber, staler, and without any real incentives. And if we are just going to go out and have fights for the lulz, this is not EVE anymore, and CCP needs to fucking wake up and realize they broke the game. It's not us.
And I'm sorry if Eric bleeped him.
No, I didn't bleep anything. I was just joking earlier about you, Horrendous, by the way.
I know.
I'm going to go back to something me and Caleb said earlier, right? And we were talking about structures and a bit. And structures are horrible to fight over, and I know Horrendous and Soft, you guys FC a bit, so you might be able to comment. Would you rather kill a structure? We've done the drops on death to death, right? If we had limited manufacturing slots and say a Satio had 250, you blow the Satio up, that's 250 less that they have. Would you be more incentivized to do that in a war now?
No.
I wouldn't be more incentivized, but it would make
more consequences.
Just think about it.
And let's just say right here, and this is something Dirk can back me up on. CCP knows that Master Plan. Like when we talked to Master Plan a couple of weeks ago, like that was actually one of the things that came up, and there were issues. So CCP's devs, I think, have a lot more of a grip on things than the people who are telling them what to do.
I think that's always been the case, though.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go around the room here and let's see where. Hey man, we are at 40 minutes into the show already. Can you guys believe that?
Yeah.
I just like to
so Horrendous, if you could.
Can I just reply to chat for a second, because
okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm not just hitting on CCP because they do good things, and they do introduce things that's really commendable and that I applaud. The problem with CCP is that they keep these blinders on, where they don't understand that things will have tertiary and quaternary effects, that these things are linked. So if you fix one problem with a solution that's actually going to bring horrible balance issues down the line, you are fundamentally breaking the game without even knowing it, because you're trying to do something good, but it completely breaks the mold, right? The sandbox dies. And the best example, the classic one, is of course this whole thing with industry slots. It solved the problem. Well, infinite industry slots solved the problem of plugged slots in the past, right? And the fact that POSes could not rent out or make slots available to alliances or the public, right? So it did solve a problem. The problem is the solution was horrible and actually destroyed the whole ecosystem of the economy. And then you can start discussing whether or not we will get structured proliferation if we bring back limited slots. The point is, it had consequences. If you were in the industry business, if you were building things, you either were dependent on the limited slots in NPC stations, or you had your POSes, which you had to actually put skin in the game, and you put things at risk, right? And that brings back the whole thing about abortion and destroying things while it's being built. We do not have these things in the game anymore. And it was pretty much at the core of everything, how the system and the sandbox works. They've destroyed this. They've put these fixes in that makes the game easier and easier and dumber, which is also why you get this thing with blackouts where a fuck ton of content creators leave and all the crabs come back and the productivity is the same, but there's no destruction.
Well, one thing I want to address in chat here is Martov, right? So the problem is everybody's afraid of goons, right? Because they have everything, right? Well, and that goes back to, I tweeted back to Aerith one of my things, not that he cares, just carried on the conversation, right? There are problems in EVE that don't exist at 50,000 concurrent players that do exist at 20,000 concurrent players. Okay, there are elements of scaling within here that cause us to have issues, right? And the declining player base is one of the problems, right? The most fervent, the most organized, the most the people who believe in the game the most will congregate together and stay longer.
Yeah.
And that's not original for me. I mean, I think Scion wrote an article about that a long time ago, and he was completely right. Right? You'll be left with the what did he call them? Does anybody remember? He called them the true believers in the game, are all you'll be left with in the end, right?
Which is what, well, I was going to say that's what we'll be getting to, but even then, CCP's doing a great job of alienating true believers.
True believers.
I said it to Caleb earlier, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Rain is unsubbed. I don't know Manic's state, but Manic's not really doing much. Zarvox is gone. A number of other streamers have gone. Bjorn, I heard rumors last year that he was considering going. Like, what does it say when CCP's own content creators and streamers are deserting them?
Well, it's a fail cascade, right?
Yeah.
That's where you are. You're
And
on
it's
the
not
edge.
starting from the bottom. It's starting from the top. It's the people who draw people.
Well, that's the
and
cascade.
That's not the player's fault.
Exactly. None of these things have any fault on the players. The players are just trying to optimize their gameplay to the game that they're playing. So that means that it's fundamentally all about the designs that CCP are giving us. That's the whole way a sandbox works, right? And I would just like to get on the fact that when even Killer comes in and explains what's wrong with the macroeconomics of EVE, you know that you have a problem, because that's usually not his gameplay at all. But he pretty much pointed out that when CCP brings in changes that fundamentally nerfs everyone, it's going to benefit groups like Goons. You have to be selective and you have to be smart about how you change the game design. And the whole thing about Goons hurt the most during the blackout is going to come out that that's fundamentally bullshit. It's fake news, right? The changes that are needed is exactly what Killer pointed out. You need something that will hurt big organizations because it's a scale thing. And if you had something fundamentally like depletion or assailable assets, that would fundamentally benefit the little guy because they usually don't reach carrying capacity, and they might actually not be noticed when they are trying
No,
to
I disagree, and here's where something like depletion would benefit the little guy, right? So the little guy that, you know, plays 5 or 6 hours on the weekend when he has a chance or something like that, just won't be able to find the resources that he wants to mine and use and do.
You're wrong, because it's about how much, when is the carrying capacity cap going to hit, right? If you're talking depletion, we're talking depletion like the small guy will never reach that cap. This is about the joke that Aerith was making a few years ago.
How are you defining small guy? Because I'm just like some dude logging in. He could be a goon. He could be some guy in high sec. Because if you think it was easy to find ice in high sec to mine, you got another thing coming.
I'm not talking about that level of depletion. I'm just talking about the fact that it was a standing joke that the goons were pretty much only reaching about 60% of all its capacity in Delve, and it basically filled all their needs for all of the space that they control, right? So it's pretty much about how much can be produced in local space, and the little guy or the smaller organizations would not necessarily reach that cap. They would not be forced.
It would depend on where the little guy lives.
Yeah, exactly.
And what he wanted to mine, right? So if you can't get that stuff in nullsec, right, you're just going to have high sec alts, and they're going to mine the hell out of high sec, and you're going to have the depletion happening in high sec.
This was working.
And then that little guy
in the past, when you had that codependence, the game was working.
I don't
Can
know.
I jump in and address two things in chat?
Go ahead.
Just to steer this. So I want to hit Final Praetorian's thing first, and then work my way up to what Steel Horse has said. Final Praetorian says that each week we hear different things about what needs to change on every different show there is out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be how to get back to somewhere that is a good place. Yeah, it's going to be, because we've had 5 years of changes, maybe 6-7 years now, moving us away from what was a decent place down a path that is nigh on irreversible, which is what ties into Steel Horse's one of the downfall started with CCP selling injectors. It was long before that. The PCU used to be 50k, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we had Aegis Solve, Citadels, Jump Fatigue, Skill Injectors. Alphas gave a reprieve, but then it dropped back to what it was, plus Alphas in the mix, which was less active subs. Like,
the problem
everything has
Arcos,
been misstep after misstep that has just fundamentally broken the game.
Yeah, but the problem is that every time that someone suggests a solution to these problems, they always end up talking about things that are fundamentally microeconomic and not macro at all. They do not understand how the whole macro of the sandbox works. I think the few people that understand this is people like, well, Dirk McGurk and Aerith, right? The rest pretty much always do this anecdotal bullshit and talking about their own individual conditions, and that has nothing to do with how the whole game is tied together.
Would something, Caleb, like, you know, cutting space in half have the same effect?
Well, I don't think I don't like.
Are you stealing my idea?
Oh, is that your idea,
I don't
Sock?
think that's a good idea.
Yes, my idea was to have a big event where the Triglavians suck like 25 to 50% of nullsec into like another dimension.
Oh, I would sit there and say, if there are 1,000 systems, I don't really care where they are. Like, you know, I just cut them all in half. Like, high sec is 50% of what it was, low sec is 50%, null sec is 50%, NPC null sec is 50% of what it was, just...
But you don't need that, Eric. If you have a very effective design for things like diminishing returns and depletion, you would naturally get systems or areas that were, when it comes to raw material and resources, pretty much barren, right? You pretty much scorched earth that shit. Whether you're doing that with locust fleets or whether you're doing that because you got high production, right? There's no farmings in big cities, right? This is the whole point. CCP needs to start thinking about this when it comes to resources and the whole cycle of creation and destruction. And they completely lost the plot. This is what Aerith I think is trying to point out that the CCP developers seem to not understand their own game anymore. It's as if they completely lost the initial design ideology of EVE Online, and they keep chasing this Skinner box bullshit.
I think, Caleb, there's two fundamental parts to the problem, and I think you're introducing an assumption that we don't have clear evidence for at this point. Okay? I think the two fundamental parts of the problem, one of them you've identified, is that the CCP devs don't understand how their game works on the highest level, or on a number of levels, especially like the higher you get within the CCP's organization, the less understanding there is of the game. And the second one is that, honestly, they're not listening. Like they're not at all interested in hearing that they don't know. They think they know, and as long as they've got one voice around that will say, yeah, you're totally doing the right thing, they're not going to listen to however many people saying this is not going to work. Mm-hmm. And this goes back to something that Praetorian put in the chat about how all these ideas were player ideas and players supported them. Like, look at the blackout. And really what you're coming down to is not that these are that the ideas that have made things bad were player ideas, because nothing goes in because players said so. It only happens when CCP wants it to happen. What's happening is when CCP hears player voices that reinforce their preconceptions, they point to those and go, see, we're right.
Right on the nose, Arendis. Right on the nose.
Hang on.
Let him go. Let him finish. Let him finish, Caleb.
Let me just point out where I think you've inserted an assumption to all this, Caleb, and then you can totally respond. All right. You said CCP had lost the narrative. I question whether they ever had it or if they just stumbled into it.
Well, okay. I do think that if you go far enough back in history, when we still had a lot of what I call the core CCP developers, right? I know that it becomes a little bit of a history lesson. But if you go back prior to 2011, right, I think that most devs, or at least a lot of devs, understood what the fundamental ideology of the design of EVE was, right? And then it got lost post the whole Summer of Rage. But I don't want to make this a history lesson. I just like to point out that someone in chat said that, well, many of these things are player suggestions. Yeah, but that's not really true, right? Players say, this is a problem. We need a solution that looks something like this. But CCP seem to always give us something that looks a bit like it. But to me, it resembles a bloody nailed it meme. It's like, yeah, this is not exactly what we asked for. You pretty much omitted all the things that were important and gave us only the glossy bullshit version, right?
I mean, to touch on what I don't know how to pronounce the name, Choridan, however, you know, yes, players asked for a change to rules. We didn't ask for what CCP did. Exactly. We wanted them to be an on-grid boosting and support platform.
And it's the same with
not a massive mining
it's the same with null independence. All of these things that players have asked for, right? The CCP goes in and changes it and gives us something that resembles the solution we asked for, but it has so many flaws that will have tertiary and quaternary effects down the line that's completely going to destroy the game. The Rorqual is, of course, the best example. The other is how structures and infinite industry slots got brought in, and CCP don't seem to understand why this is a problem.
You forgot the third one.
Injectors.
Of the Riders of Eve's Destruction.
Injectors?
That's nullification.
Oh. Yeah, honestly, and fatigue,
CCP,
right? False projection and the solution with fatigue was horrible.
CCP just fails to ask the one question you should always ask before making a change to a semi-stable. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
No.
They should have a Dr. Pepper rule.
You're talking about red team, and that's what goons are for.
They don't ask it, but they get told it anyway, Arendis, and then they ignore it.
I know.
Because we don't trust the players.
No, we don't trust the CSM when they say don't
yes.
do the Rourke, don't do the Citadel, like Seabass said, like everybody else here said, right? I mean, it wasn't like, you know, if everybody thinks that all the CSM does is meta CCP, it's complete and utter bullshit, because the biggest winners in the Citadel and the Rourke Wool changes were Goons, undeniably, I think. And Goons clearly said, don't do this.
And I would say that the one
on record and saying that, to me, right, moon mining is a genius design if they had actually done it right. Structures is a genius design if they had actually done it right. And skill point injectors is a brilliant fucking solution to the catch-up mechanic if it was done right. But none of these things have been done in a way that it's properly balanced and considers all the potential consequences
skill
down the
injectors
line.
need to die in a fire right along with Super Capital.
Like, yes, I would agree they need to die in a fire, but Caleb kind of has a point. If they were brought in a very limited way that stopped them being used on Capitals and Tech 2 ships and was like T1 ships only,
okay, look,
maybe I could deal with
that's not the problem. The problem isn't that you can use them on everything. That is not the problem with skill injectors. The problem with skill injectors is I can have 1,500 alts just sitting there making skill points.
I mean, the issue isn't the skill injectors. The issue is the pervasiveness of the alt culture.
And the problem with that is the effectiveness and the lack of diminishing returns, because the whole thing with zombie farming and the fact that there's a profit, right? That you can actually make a profit by plexing and then just training an infinite amount of zombie alts. That shows you the macroeconomic problem with the balance point that CCP has created, because that should not be viable. This should always be designed to not be a viable way of introducing skill point trading. That's the main problem. And this brings back the whole thing. This is all about macroeconomics. And it seems to me that CCP does not have anyone in there that understand these things on a macro level and can actually figure out how to crunch those numbers.
And that's easy to fix, though.
Just to have it said, Tora, all right, I am not saying I have 1,500 skill SP farming alts, because I definitely don't. I do not have the patience for that kind of crap. I know a couple of people who do have upwards of that number, and at least one high-sec SP farmer 2 years ago was saying that he'd crunched the numbers and could vote himself onto the CSM if he wanted.
We have multiple people in the game that could solo vote themselves onto the CSM at this point.
Isn't that kind of crazy?
I kind of want to see it happen, just to show CCP how much of a problem it is.
Well, it brings back the whole high-sec problem and the fact that there are a lot of these things happening, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that was what Old Mecha got voted in on, right? So,
I'm just here thinking about it, because I never thought of this concept, right? I could create enough characters that I could vote myself in on the CSM, and I think that's hilarious. I mean, that's just hilarious.
That's the problem with zombie farming, because fundamentally I could get a shoe in tomorrow on the CSM if I wanted, because the people I know and affiliate with are all these types of people that have zombie farms and do market trade and all of that stuff, and even scammers, right? So they have enough to actually just shoehorn me in if I wanted to. And this has been the fact for many of the high-sec market guys. If they really wanted to get a seat, they could have gotten it any time in history since the whole thing got changed into this skill point farming bullshit.
That's the answer we missed when Master Plan turned it around on us and asked, well, what do you guys see as low-risk people?
What, markets?
SP farming.
SP.
Yeah. But again, the problem is that it's the design thing, right? It's CCP designing it to be a viable way of generating skill points. This should not be a thing. It should be perfectly balanced to make this not viable ever. You could pretty much go to Adam for Eve or any of these sites that checks the viability of skill point farming, right? And as long as they are in profit, you need to start nerfing it, because it should always be at a deficit. So this does not happen.
Right. And Tora, just to address the point that you made earlier about how it takes you 2 to 3 hours to skill queue. So with these massive SP farms, what they basically do is they do like half an hour every day over the course of the month. And there you go.
But I have an easy solution for the SP farms.
Oh yeah, no, I get that, Tor. I'm not saying you do.
Go on.
Well, CCP now introduce public requirements.
Oh my god.
It ties back to the whole thing about the CSM and voting. And
The fact that he's laughing in the background as he's going off. No. I'm getting
off.
off.
Point of the CSM and elections. Eric,
I'm still trying to get over
it's
Sopher still laughed.
Well, it's kind of relevant, right? Because if you wanted a proper election, right, you should go to a subscription-based thing. You do not. You shouldn't have a election option if you are just plexing, right? Because that is exactly what leads to these problems, with abuse of the skill point farming and plexing.
I'm going to say then, CCP ain't going to have people voting in the next CSM election because
just to make the point, this is not old players crying over new players using SP. This is players saying people should not be able to more or less conjure trillions of ISK into the economy this way.
I'll put it this way.
And
when
no,
I first started,
no, the SP farming does not actually conjure the ISK into the economy. But when SP gets more prevalent this way, this drives the prices of Plex up because you need the Plex to get the extractors. And that, in turn, makes people farm more so that they can afford to Plex their accounts.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm going to put it in perspective around this for people that are here. When SP farming first came about after skill injectors were added to the game, I started. I had 10 accounts, 30 characters between them. But that was slowly built up over 6 months. And I made about 50 billion in that time. Just out of thin air. Literally sitting on it.
And you were not doing anything on skill.
No effort.
Most of the people I know that do skill point farming do it with more than 250 accounts, right? So it's just pointing out how big of a problem this is, that CCP does not seem to do the thing that the Renders pointed out. That what is the worst case scenario that this could lead to? And we've seen these things, right? We had the giveaway at FanFest. What's that shit called, the Renders? Pacifier Gate, right? Where the pacifier was the prize for attending FanFest. And people that had SP farms would then get 250 or 500 or more pacifiers simply because they were farming, right? This is just so dumb, right? CCP really needs to wake up and do this proper red team thing. What is the worst thing that could happen with this design? And then start fixing it and going back to focusing on rebalancing the game, because in my opinion, EVE is actually a really good game potentially if it just got fixed when it comes to balance. It's got all the entertaining content that we used to appreciate in the past, right? It's just that because CCP has broken it, it's not fun anymore.
Like, or you could just take Antiquarian's advice from Vic.
Oh my god.
Eve Echoes sounds like all the best parts of Eve.
It is, yeah.
He terrified himself when he heard himself say it.
Just don't, advocate for freedom of Hong Kong in that game. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Or anywhere else in Eve.
Yeah. So you gotta take off. You want one last thing before you run, Erendus? Because it's time for us to go through that. You go first if you wanted to say.
Savior implants will be bad. They will be horrible. Logi is already the cancer that is killing the game, and this is not the way to get rid of me.
All right. Well, thanks. Bargos, your one last thing.
I don't know what to say.
You've said so much.
Hopefully, I know, right? I've used all my words elsewhere. Hopefully the servers get fixed, because my main concern right now isn't the balance of the game or anything like that. It's people I know that, because of these server issues, are playing other games, and they're getting the itch just to walk away for good. It's just compounding, right? And
it is a danger.
Oh my god,
right?
I've had a week away from the game, and I've enjoyed this week away.
Yeah, that's.
I didn't have to do all the shit that I would normally do.
You mean your second job?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It's okay. I'm going to say this, but it's not quite literal. It's Blackout all over again, in the sense of it's an excuse for people to walk away from the game.
It is. It is. And that's a
to
challenge.
look at other titles and try out different things and go, huh, this is interesting. This is a breath of fresh air to what I've been, grinding up against for so long.
Alrighty.
Anyway.
Caleb, you're up next.
Okay, I'd just like to point out to CCP that there is a lot of proof in a post-Brexit world that some things are not solved democratically.
Okay. Dirk!
I'm gonna echo what Bog Ghost had to say. I really hope that the servers get fixed sometime soon and CCP can fix these connection issues, because I was all gearing up to come back to the game real quick, today with the HEF deployment. But, yeah, that doesn't appear to be like it's gonna happen. So, yeah, I just want them to fix it soon.
Miss, does it still smell like bacon out there? What else can you tell us? There's your one last thing.
I'm actually thinking of making a high-sec character, especially with the Guardian Gala and all that other stuff they're doing. I don't know. I feel like I'm just going full circle back around to high-sec. But Guardian's Gala coming up soon. Maybe low-sec again with... Maybe you can only use turrets or drones or something like that.
McLeod.
Oof. Okay, so I kind of wanted to get something off my chest a little bit, but aside from echoing Bargo saying like, hopefully that the servers kind of pick up and people can log in and enjoy playing Eve again. We've heard a lot of talk about balance issues today, right? I would like to speak directly to CCP and say there is a potential hiring that would really help the game, and really help like your as a company's perspective on the game and perspective on balancing on the game, especially with regards to the larger aspects of the game. And that is if you hired, and this would be pretty cool, for a games company to hire, but if you guys could hire an ecologist for Eve,
Here.
that would be really fucking cool.
Is someone
Because
trying to say that Reaver's looking for a job?
no, nothing like that.
Can't afford her.
They really can't afford her.
But because one of the things when Caleb was going on his rant, as he always generally tends to every so often, it like struck me that when he was talking about certain aspects of how introductory kind of things into the game really fixed one thing but broke a whole bunch of other things in like really bad ways. It reminded me like significantly about all of the anecdotal kind of stories of humans introducing species into an ecosystem to solve a situation and just causing a horrendously worse situation because of that. And understanding the ecology of a particular place goes significantly to stopping that from happening. And I really feel like if you're a budding ecologist wanting to do something different in your profession, like going into a games company and like helping them solve issues with like a game that is second to none in terms of like basically what is a bunch of environments that are so interconnected and have to be dependent upon each other. Like, that sounds like such an amazing opportunity for somebody. and also a really, really, really good opportunity for CCP to actually better understand their game and to fix the issues that they have at the moment, the long-term issues.
Cool. And at the end of that, the chair would like to remind the House Manager McLeod that his response is limited to 5 minutes going forward. No.
Sorry about that. Hey, we've had final things last half an hour before. So,
we've gone for 3 rounds of fun.
No, it just gave me the opportunity to say something stupid that might be funny. So that was all.
I just felt like it needed to be said.
No, it was very interesting. I never thought of it in that way. And even people were talking, like, do you mean an economist or an ecologist, right? And then you just went in and explained it. It was really good. It's a really interesting concept. It's a thought. I mean, it's an interesting thought. I mean, really is. So that was a good one.
I hope people take it. I hope anybody at CCP takes that seriously, because I do mean it sincerely.
And I know you do. I mean, there's some things we just say to bitch and moan about, but really, everything we say here is to hopefully make the game better, right?
The meme version of what McLeod just said is that the rorqual is an invasive species.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And in Eve, we just say, it's cancer. Okay. Sothersill, what is up with you, my man?
In the opposite direction.
All right.
Oh, shit.
Like, we know that the devs understand where the problems are, and some of them might even have ideas how to fix them, but they are clearly not allowed to touch it. And therefore, I'm calling for Pearl Abyss to fire Hilmar.
Oh, Jesus!
Oh, shots fired! I don't know.
I mean, I'm just going to say he's saying what we're all thinking.
I don't know. I think I tweeted that like a year ago or two. Yeah. I don't know.
I tweeted it.
Thanks for coming to my.
You know, there were very few times where I've ever said fire X or Y like CCP employee. One of them was at the in the greed is good kind of scenario, and I really thought that I really got like super triggered on the situation, and said some things that I shouldn't have said in the Evo forums, which I now regret. Looking back, I kind of hope that that's not the situation that you'll find yourself in, Seth.
Well, just to point out that something that ties into what McLeod was just saying with greed is good, right? I think there's a more fun solution to what Sothersill is pretty much asking for. Instead of firing Hilmar, we get Pearl Abyss to actually rehire Soundwave and make Hilmar and Soundwave equal. That would be a lot more fun. More drama.
Well, it would be
shit show.
Only if we get to see the chat. I mean,
yeah, of course.
I will be down with that so long as I can sing Foo Fighters with Christoph again. That'd be fucking amazing.
Of course you can. That's the whole point.
Oh, him, he's hating the goons. I love it.
I don't think making them equal will work, though, because if you look at what Arif has said in his tweet, them having the 3 equal partners at the top of production is part of what's causing the problem we've got, right? None can overrule another and say, this is what we're doing.
Well, it's just the point is that it's 3 people that fundamentally seem to not actually play Eve, right? And I'm just saying that if we got someone back like Nathan or Christopher, right, we might actually have someone in the upper echelon, in that triumvirate, that can actually understand Eve and could actually make changes that benefits us.
Well, that was a big bomb from Sothersill. But I didn't hear a lot of dissent from the gallery.
I heard an amen from the gallery.
Yeah, might have. I think it's time. I mean, it's time for him to retire and go on and do something else. Let's put it that way. Not necessarily fire him. Just he needs to retire and move on.
Sometimes, every part of Eve needs to feel the chaos era.
Yeah, everybody needs a little chaos, right? All right. So that is the show for this week. We're only 14 minutes over, which is pretty good. I hope everybody out in the audience had a good time. We will be back same time next week, always. with hopefully fixed servers at CCP, things running a little more smoothly, and hopefully more game news, right? Something good that makes us all happy and want to play the game again, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody, say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, yeah, that was energetic. Thanks, guys. All right, everybody. We will see you. We are out of here.
For the permit. I don't care if you buy a permit. Do you know how little I actually care if you have a permit?
Complaining about the fact that he received no support from that. I think Boat has some.
Yes, I
some
do.
leaks for us.
Oh, I got some leaks for you.
It's like simple shit like that. No, simple shit like that. If he can't answer that,
I need to break in because I need more original every week. That's a goal.
Do you really actually get paid for that? Because you deserve money for that last one. That one was a fun thing set up.